Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about grudges. So to set up this situation, I'll sort of talk about a conversation I had with a friend recently, and so basically this is what they came to me with. My friend holds a severe grudge on someone from a past event with this other individual. I don't think it's a healthy grudge, and I want to talk to him about it. I'm curious on your opinion. Can grudges be healthy? And is there a best way to talk about, addressing this with a friend? So, my personal opinion, in general, I'm not a big fan of grudges because I think it hurts the person holding the grudge more than it hurts the other individual. That being said, I want to also qualify this by saying I think there are two general categories of grudges, and one is, the more valid, legitimate grudges, and the other is sort of the petty ones. For me, what I deem sort of legitimate or valid is, when a person has been significantly traumatized or hurt emotionally, mentally, physically, or financially by a person. So, a couple easy examples come to mind. Someone in a marriage cheating, someone's stealing money from you, being assaulted in any manner. I mean, these are significant events, traumas, and cause a lot of hurt. And as human beings, we have emotions. And when someone has completely, morally violated you, there is legitimate reasons to having negative feelings towards that person anytime they're brought up or things like that. I think on the other hand, though, there's a lot of petty grudges, which to me are not a big deal and could be solved with some adult behavior. I'll give a couple examples that come to mind, but one is, I remember a friend of mine saying she was mad at her friend because she didn't think her friend was doing a good job keeping up with her. And they live in two different geographical locations, and she just felt like her friend wasn't calling or texting in as much as she should to check in. Something like that, to me, is a simple fix. That's, text them or call them, communicate your feelings, see how they react, and then see how their actions are after the discussion. I think sometimes people are annoyed at trying to be the bigger person, and so they hold on to these petty grudges. And, if it's a situation that's, a simple text or call, or maybe it's a simple apology for, maybe you got into a political argument and maybe, you let it get a little bit more emotional than it needed to be, and you got personal with that person. That's just a simple apology for, and you guys, hopefully could move forward from that, and, both sides can understand, emotions were lost in a certain, whatever, debate or situation, and, that's not a reason to now shun that person. I think going back to the legitimate grudges, I think the reason I say I'm not a big fan in general is because I think when you talk about grudges, especially emotional ones, people have a physical reaction to them. They might become extremely angry, mad. You can see them tense up. They might become more stressed, and when they're talking about that person or that situation. And I think that these have not only mental effects, but they have physical effects, of increased stress, and that might obviously have physical effects on your immune system and things like that. But beyond that, I think the mental is probably what people most, holding on to that mental boulder is really what hurts people. And I also want to say, like, forgiveness or easing on those feelings of grudges doesn't mean you condone the behavior of what that individual did. Forgiveness to me is, I take the lesson from the situation. I understand, how those actions portray that person and what type of person they are. But I'm not going to let their actions, in the past affect my well-being and keep me stuck in the same place. And I really, for me, I go back to the marriage example. One of my friend's parents, got a divorce, and one of the parties in the divorce was extremely bitter and kept a big grudge on the other ex-spouse, for the actions of cheating. And again, I'm not condoning cheating, but it was interesting as time went on with, over the years, looking at the two individuals' lives. One of them ended up getting remarried, sort of continued to have a happy disposition and things like that, and the other remained bitter and angry, never remarried, and in many ways, their mindset of always being angry at the other remained like integral to who they were and how they viewed the world. And when I look back at that, my friend's parent on that side, that parent really made it worse for themselves. They allowed that terrible person, in their mind, that terrible person's actions to continue to affect their well-being, and they never really moved on or forward from life. So that's probably the main reason why I think it's important to think about forgiveness in these situations, for your own sake, your own well-being. In terms of bringing it up with your friend, I'm always a big fan of honest communication, so I think it's great that you're bringing it up with your friend. I think communicate it again in a way where you're getting across the fact that you don't think it's healthy for them, for their mental and physical well-being. And I think they might need, some level of processing the entire situation out, whether it's in therapy or in journaling, to understand, all right, these are all my feelings, and how based off of these, what how are these maybe tied to my self-esteem and things like that, and then how can I move forward so it doesn't affect me. In my opinion, friends should always want other friends to provide them with feedback to make them better. And, we as individuals often miss things, but friends see things, and so it's always good to get that outside feedback. So, all this to say, I think in conclusion, for me, I think any individual in this situation should reflect on the enormity of the grudge, and then, I would recommend you bringing it up to your friend, because sometimes as individuals we can't see how much, our mindset is holding us back. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks for listening, guys.